Hi, I'm Danielle, and this is Shatter Out Loud, a podcast where I share thoughts and TV commentary on shows I like to watch. Now, before I start, I want to ask that you go ahead, like, follow, share, and subscribe. And on YouTube, where I upload my companion episode of my podcast, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This way you can get a notification every time I post a new episode and you won't miss out. It doesn't cost you anything to follow and subscribe, so go ahead, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and thank you in advance. All right, so welcome back, and I thank you so much for joining me. Your presence is very much appreciated. All right, so I wanted to come back to catch up on the live feeds. We are in the morning after the nominations, leading up through the Power of Veto competition. So that's what I'm covering in this version of this live feed updates. Okay, so we wake up to Moose chatting with Tanisha, and he's sharing that he thinks that Jess may have something to do with him scheming to get Kyle to put him on the block. And clearly a good night's sleep just does not help with Moose's delusions. He's still refusing to believe that Kyle did this on his own. Right? Kyle created all this chaos on his own. He didn't need help. He was alone with his thoughts, and this is what he decided to do. All right. In the kitchen, we briefly hear Steph and Kyle chat to say no one should use the veto, and Steph added, "It would be silly." And remember, Kyle is the HOH. Steph and Moose are on the block. Back in the HOH room, Kyle is telling Gino he wants Steph to stay now. And this is after he nominated her. He created all of this chaos, and now he's trying to be her hero by saving her this week. Like, it's just so crazy. It's just so crazy. When Steph walks into the room with Kyle and Gino, now he's saying this move he made to put Moose on the block was a house consensus because of how Moose was playing. And I'm thinking, no, Kyle, it wasn't a house consensus. It was after you were alone with your thoughts, you thought you were going to make this masterful move, and it just blew up in your face because, well, we'll talk about that later. All right. In all honesty, I believe he continues to repeat himself just to try to make it make sense, because it just doesn't. It just doesn't. He wants Steph to stay now, but he nominated her. And he keeps talking about this reset and repairing the relationship with Steph. If she reintegrates with him or gets back into an alliance with Kyle, it's a not so smart move for her as well. Kyle is showing you how he is and how he's playing. It's not smart. This just was not a smart move for his own game. And I don't blame anyone that just is telling him what he needs to hear now until he's out of power and then get him out of the house. All right. The move alone, he went against two people who he's in an alliance with. There were other players to target, specifically those he's not in an alliance with. We're in week 3. And if his goal is to get the jury, you don't do that by alienating yourself by getting most of the house guests to now want to target you. And that's exactly what he did. All right. Later, Kyle talks to Dr. Josh about the veto, asking if he should win the veto to keep it the same. And he's telling he's telling Josh, he asked him to keep the nominations the same if he were to win the veto. And he says, why rock the boat? And my thought at that time was, Kyle, are you seriously saying why rock the boat? The way he moved in the first 24 hours of his HOH, there was nothing stable about what he did at all, right? Not only did he rock the boat, he pretty much steered the boat into a rock. It just was a mess. All right. Kyle, in his gameplay, he pulled the trigger on gaming his own alliance. Like, he thought he was smart and making this smart move and masterful. And yeah, I'm going to be a big player. And it's one of the worst decisions that he made. I think he realized that midway, and now he's trying to clean it up by adding or putting Moose on the block. And he's trying to backpedal, and now he's saying it was a house decision. No, Kyle, it wasn't a house decision. This was all you. The house was happy with targeting Betty, Jess, or Kevin, to be honest. That's who the house was happy with targeting. And Kyle, no matter what he says, he wasn't backed into a corner to do any of this. This was him alone with his own thoughts and having the HOH power, it getting to his head and being, first getting the HOH power, getting a lot of information fed to him, because that's what happens when you are an HOH. And then the power somehow going to his head, and then him thinking that he's smarter than everybody in the house to make this masterful move, when it just wasn't a smart move at all. All right, Moose begins, or I think they are in the pantry. I can't remember which room in the house they were in, or maybe they were in the question mark room or the red room. I don't know. But Moose fills in Dr. Josh on why Kyle is targeting him. And can I say, during that conversation, I was very impressed how fast Moose talked. He was coherent. He got his point across. So much so where Dr. Josh agreed to use the power of veto on him if he wanted. Now, I don't believe Josh will use it on Moose, nor do I believe he will use it on Steph, because he has a relationship with Betty. And just based on how the house views Betty, if one of them were to come down, Betty would go up. That's what Josh is thinking based on what he sees and in the past, right? So I don't think he would use it on Moose or Steph if he were to win it, but we'll have to see. All right, this was a random thought. When Moose was talking with Betty in the pantry, he had a napkin and he began wiping his chest and then his underarms with some type of liquid that he pulled out of the pantry. Does anyone know what that was about? Like, I'm just curious, what was this liquid and why was he wiping his chest and his underarms? I wanted to know what that liquid was. He pulled it right out of the pantry. So let me know if you know. All right. Anyway, Moose asked for Betty's vote, if he were to remain on the block. And she gave him advice to stop being an emotional player right now. And she cited that he doesn't know these people and don't get out of character over this game. And I found that to be very sound advice. Yep. All right. There was a little BBUS talk amongst the house guests. We hear Cody and Derek's name. We hear Evil Dick's name. We hear Dr. Will's name, which, by the way, Marty said, I don't like Dr. Will. Yeah. Well, we're not liking you, Marty. All right. We also heard a little bit about Nicole and Victor, and then the feeds cut. And I thought, I wonder why Big Brother Canada is cutting the feeds. Why don't you want us to hear BBCAN contestants talking about BBUS contestants? Is there something behind that? All right. I'm just kidding about that. All right. During their HOH room lockdown, Moose takes the opportunity to tell all of the house guests that he and Kyle know each other. Now, I don't think at this point people really cared, especially since Kyle did his whole tour the night before telling people, I don't have a degree in English. No, I have a secret. I don't have a degree in English. No, it's in sports media. That was just so ridiculous to me. All right, Kyle talking with JC Lynn about players that are in the middle. Neither one of them likes those type of players. And I thought, wow, then why aren't you targeting anyone that's in the middle, like a Jess or a Kevin or a Helena for that matter? Kyle is just so focused on Moose at this time, who was an ally for him. Moose was not even after Kyle. He was after Herman. And the move that Kyle made by putting up Moose does not make sense. And I also do want to mention again that after all this, because now we see Kyle backpedaling, trying to now save Steph to get her to stay in the house. And if Steph happens to stay and she realigns with Kyle, this is not smart for her in her game, in my opinion. All right, so let's talk about the power of veto players. They are selected by the spin of the wheel, and I still think that is so cool. I would love to see that in BBUS. I love that wheel spinning thing. I really do. And again, as a reminder, Kyle is the HOH. He nominated Moose and Steph. Once they spun the wheel, the players were Moose, Steph, Betty, Dr. Josh, and Gino. And then Helena is the host this week. And this is a spoiler alert. After the Power of Veto competition was played, guess who won the Power of Veto? And this is the worst case scenario for Kyle, that is. For us viewers and live feeders and fans of the game, this was a perfect scenario. The perfect scenario. Because that means we're going to get more action on the live feeds. So Moose won the Power of Veto. So after all of this chaos, switching targets, targeting allies, Kyle now has to deal with the fact that Moose, at least for this next week, is not going anywhere. He's going to be around for one more week. He won the Power of Veto. He will use that Power of Veto on himself. No one will convince him otherwise. He's now already going around the house saying, yeah, strong BB legends and strong players, they do what they have to do when they're under pressure. And I'm like, Moose, calm down. Let's calm down. Let's take it down a few notches and just be happy that you're not on the block or you're going to be off the block soon. But yeah. So we're excited about that. We, meaning the fans, we're excited about that because now Moose will come down. There is rumblings that Betty will go up, but I don't know because Kyle may take the opportunity to take out another person in his alliance, right? I mean, the alliances have blown up because of what Kyle did. People are targeting him. A lot of people are just laying low right now just for the sake because Kyle is in power and he's so irrational and or erratic, I should say, that they're afraid if they say anything or confront Kyle, they'll wind up going on the block next. So anyway, Power of Veto winner is Moose. This is going to be exciting in the next week, leading up to eviction night. All right. Also, there's a new alliance that has formed, and they are called the Rebel Rejects. Yeah, this was late last night. They solidified it. And the members of this alliance are Tanisha, Kevin, Summer, Helena, Josh, and Herman. Now, I am liking this new alliance, and I swear, if they can keep it together and plan, this is going to be really, really good. Based on Herman being a part of this alliance, I think this will work. Herman is very rational, I talked about. He's level-headed. He knows the game. He can plan people. He can influence people, and he's just level-headed. So I think this will work. I think Summer is good with the social part of that. I think Josh is pretty good as well. Helena, I don't trust her 100% in this. I really don't. Helena has talked about people's alliances. She's aligned with so many people. So that would probably be the thing that we should all worry about in terms of the Rebel Rejects. Is the fact that Helena is part of it. But I like the idea of this new alliance. I look forward to seeing how this all works out over the next week, you know? All right. Oh, also, towards the end of the night, all the guys were in the room. They were talking about things that were not related to game in terms of like high school and things they like to do in sports and all of that. And every single guy was in that room except Kevin. And apparently, I think he felt some type of way, but he told Kyle he did anyway. So that was just a little bit of, that wasn't even drama. It's just the fact that they were all in the room. Even Moose, every single guy was in there except Kevin. And so that was, I don't know what that was about. Anyway, I'll come back most likely tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to come back later on today. But I'll come back tomorrow to share more updates. In the meantime, let's chat it up in the comments. Let me know what you think about Moose winning the Power of Veto. This is great. All right, and that's all I have. So be sure to come back and give me a listen. I'd love for you to like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can also leave me a comment. Leave me a message. If you're listening to the podcast, there's a link to leave me a message right on the landing page. So check that out. All right, my name is Danielle, and you're listening to my podcast, Chatter Out Loud. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, I appreciate your support. And that's all I have. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.